CAPSI podcast series, Conversations on African Philanthropy.
It's our 6th year of the African Conference on African Philanthropy. Everywhere where we go, we take the opportunity to experience the place, to experience the culture, but to also showcase the country in which we are doing the conference in. But we also use the opportunity to speak to delegates, record them for our conversations on African philanthropy. So welcome to the Conversations on African Philanthropy on the Nile River, where we are shooting some of our episodes. And in the next 5 days or so, we'll be speaking to different delegates, different actors, activists, foundations, government officials, researchers, you name it all. You want to find anything to do with African philanthropy, visit our channel on YouTube and other platforms, our Conversations on African Philanthropy. It's the 3rd day of our Conversations on African Philanthropy here in Cairo at the 6th version of the African Philanthropy Conference. We are shooting the episodes on our conversations alongside the conversations that was taking place within the main sessions. I'm excited to be joined by Farida Makame from Restless Development. Farida is the head of resource mobilization. Welcome to the conversations.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think I might have stressed you a bit by just walking up to you and saying, let's do a conversation.
Yeah, conversation, as you put it.
Yeah, it is a conversation. So we really did need to prepare and worry about that. So you're from Tanzania.
Yes.
Tanzania holds a very, very important historical position in the history of many other countries. Before we came on set, I was talking about the role that Tanzania played in providing a refuge to most liberation movements, especially in Southern Africa. But you know, young people may not know that history. Maybe let's talk a bit about your own, view and knowledge of Tanzania.
My knowledge of historic issues.
Not necessarily historic, but even what Tanzania is today.
I think Tanzania, because of its ideologies and traditions, mainly I hear it from my parents, the Ujamaa concept is what pushes people of Tanzania to be, giving and kind and welcoming to other nations, because of that concept that it's almost like the Ubuntu, but we call it the Ujamaa. So I'm not very surprised that you're saying about our role with the different movements during liberation. So I think even now, Tanzanian people are known to be very calm, other people will interpret us as very passive, not very actively, anti-government, anti-what. We value community, we value peace, we value things that are already working rather than disruption in that kind of way. And because of that, we're also very welcoming. I think, I know that lots of refugees, they might not find it very difficult to integrate within the country, with the exception of the fact that we speak Swahili, which is a bit different maybe from the Southern African regions. But even with the Swahili language unites us, because we have over 200 languages in Tanzania, but yet we have Swahili as a common language, and that's disrupting all barriers in communications, in working together as a social social nation.
So you actually went straight into it by introducing the concept of Ujamaa, which is linked to the ideology of socialism, which is what Nyerere was known for. So maybe you can help us just unpack what the understanding of Ujamaa is and what it's made up of. So if you talk to Ubuntu, one would immediately say Ubuntu is a philosophy that espouses interdependence, solidarity. You are because I am. My life in one form or the other is also interdependent on yours and all of that. So in a way, it begins to already show the intricacies of how life ought to be lived. Of course, it may not be the case all the time that people recognize that their life is actually interdependent on another person's life. But there might be similarities with Ujamaa. But what is Ujamaa? What does it mean, and how does it express itself?
So Ujamaa is, like in recent times, so I'm interpreting it more in my growing up. It's also associated with a word that we use a lot, jamii, means community. So Ujamaa is that ability to be in community, together in community. And I think the way we live our lives, we are very family oriented, and the family is beyond just your nexus. It's beyond your immediate family. Our families stretch all the way to, sometimes we joke, you can say somebody's an uncle, but then you cannot even explain how they became your uncle because they're so far out. Sometimes they're just a family friend. So it's just that community work where everybody sees each other as a family. That's number one. And then it's a shared responsibility. So I remember that when we were growing up, everybody was everybody's business. So if you're a child living in a community, everybody was your father, everybody was your mother. Everybody has the right to correct you if they needed to correct you, to help you if they needed to help you. And in a way, that kind of mentality or ideology created safety nets for people so that when you failed, you didn't fail alone. You had people to fall back into. You could not have a job but still have a place to live. You would have a place to eat. You could technically eat at any house. So that kind of life where we're supporting each other and helping each other through difficulties.
So how does Ujamaa get expressed, for example, in national issues, let's say economic development, political processes, governance, etc., etc.?
So I think now, because I've been educated foreignly, sometimes I feel there's a disadvantage to Ujamaa, or sometimes I think it's still good. But in terms of economic development, I think you'll see that we have a very powerful informal economy. And this is one of the reasons I believe it's because of that Ujamaa concept. Because people rely a lot on, for example, group savings in economic empowerment. You share the risk, you come to combine your wealth so that somebody can start off a venture or start a business. So that kind of concept continues. Even within the informal economy, their safety net is within group savings.
Will that be different from cooperatives? Or
it's not very different from cooperatives. It's quite the same, but they happen in different ways. They're formalized and they're informalized. So just people coming together as a group of friends and starting something together collaboratively with some understanding.
Are there any gender dynamics in that?
Well, of course, in like anything, more women participate in these kind of things because women are known to be more social, like within the home. It's very strange, but I almost feel like in our communities, women manage the wealth at home, while men do the hard labor, but women do manage the wealth at home. So there would be more tendency for them to cooperate in these ways, although we've seen increasingly men also doing the same, but for bigger investments and bigger jobs. While women, when they involve in economic of such sort, it's for family benefit, it's for education, for children, it's for health, it's for more of the family progress or family development. I think when it comes to politics, I believe personally, the reason why we've had one party for a very long time is similar, because people view like this has been with us. We have to acknowledge the role the ruling party has had in our independence. We have to acknowledge like the members of the ruling party being part of families. And I think in a way, it kind of hinders competition. It's a good thing, but it hinders competition because when you have a quite neat family, it's difficult to have people come into and break that ideologies or break what the elder is saying about that idea. So you'd find even our what we believe politically is influenced by families because it's influenced by community. So that's how it's expressed right now, in my perspective, within politics.
Great. The reason now I was asking so many of this because I found it very fascinating with some of the similarities in other countries. So when you were talking about some of the savings and the cooperatives, I was actually looking and thinking of different countries, where you find exactly the same thing. We might be calling them different things. In South Africa, women run what are called stock fairs, right? Stock fairs is women pulling their resources together, initially informed by men going to the mines and migrating, leaving women alone. And when women find that they need extra resources and then pulling things together, help them to do that. Then over time, those stock fairs have been, in a way improved, formalized, and even banked now. So you now have, different expressions of such savings and interventions and strategies. But let's talk about restless development. Maybe give our audience a sense of who restless development is, the geographic coverage, and some of the intended objectives of the work that you do, or rather the mandate or the mission of the organization?
Okay, so currently in Africa, we work in Tanzania, of course, Uganda, Zambia and Zimbabwe, and Sierra Leone in the West. But we also have presence in India and Nepal. We traditionally started off from the United Kingdom, and it was like founded by somebody from the academics. It was a teacher that wanted to create exchange between, by then they called third world countries and the West, so that they have intercultural collaborations and exchanges. So over the years, however, we've stood in a place where we've championed the youth agenda to champion young people as leaders, because we saw the need to change the narrative of young people as being, troublemakers, but to show that young people actually are doing initiative and young people have the capacity to do development. So a lot of our work is to that, and that's our mission, like championing that youth leadership and recognizing that it exists, and then also disrupting the current systems, intergenerational systems that hinder young people's ability to show that agency. So that's what we do in a nutshell. Yeah.
So, I mean, your role is to help the institution with the resource mobilization.
Yes.
And, you are attending this conference in Cairo, whose theme is focusing on sustainable financing for development in the majoritarian world.
Yeah.
I mean, this could be one of the most difficult contexts in which you have to raise resources, given what has been happening in the last months, but obviously preceded by other decreases in aid and other forms of support in the past, especially from the global north. Maybe in a few sentences, how do you find the space at the moment when you try to raise resources for restless development?
So the space is quite competitive because we've chosen to brand with a youth perspective.
Yeah.
So you find that partners are putting you into competition. Should we do youth or should we do women? Should we do youth or should we do people with disability? So this kind of fragmentation is causing tensions. And sometimes we try to remind that, we started off saying, what is youth exactly? The African Union is say 15 to 35. So when you say you're doing women, you're still doing youth. But the fact that we've kind of talked about that segment as young people, it's not putting you into competition. And sometimes it's hard to fight a case for investing in a young person without seeing the returns immediately. So it is competitive, but it's also, there's some hope in some areas, because there's some funders that are quite, transformational in the way they see things. And of course, young people themselves have different means that they're organizing and creating change. So it's been difficult, but I think it's been difficult since before Corona and post-Corona era. So it's just the continuity of that difficulty.
So what are the current challenges that you face as an institution? Then I will want to talk to you as an individual doing fundraising. But let's start with the challenges that you predominantly are facing as an institution.
So as an institution, I think is the shift. So we've shifted. We started founded in the UK, and then now we've shifted into independent organizations within the different countries. So I work to raise resources for all of us, but then I need to explain how we are not a traditional INGO. So as an institution, that kind of shift is presenting challenges at the moment. And also it's presenting challenges for the nationalized organizations to raise within their own borders.
So you say something that I wanted us to deal with it immediately. So your origins are in the UK, but you are trying to explain yourselves as a non-international NGO, right?
Yes.
How are you able to do that? Because in the last decade or so, there's been a desire and effort by INGOs to localize in Africa.
Yes.
And that has its own advantages, but it also had serious disadvantages, especially for the local groups who feel that INGOs come localize, but they are already advanced and more, advantaged when it comes to resource mobilization, because you already have a machinery, marketing, public relations, people who can write reports and proposals very well, media, networks, etc. So when you come as an INGO and you compete with a local organization, the local organization has no chance. So that has been one of the big conversations. But I'm keen to hear how you have been able to properly distinguish yourselves as a non-international NGO.
So we haven't properly in the visibility part, but I think the push for us to become what we are today did not come from external sources. It's actually started internally.
Sure.
So in many of our countries, a lot of the staff are 100% African, but yet, you remember, it became more obvious when the Black Lives Matter movement started. So a lot of us were African-based, and we did everything. So we did resource mobilization, we did everything that we would say an expert would do, and yet we didn't see that translated properly in the way we were organized. So the movement started within. We started demanding for that change. We started demanding from the view that we are no longer headquartered in the UK, because we did most of the work resource mobilizing within the countries. So we started that shift, and then we changed the strategy. And then fortunately, a lot of conversations started happening around it. So the challenge has been that we moved from being an INGO based on our internal, internal efforts, but then it's just coincided. So it's actually challenging, because even when we go to the government and all they see is, yes, we see that you deliver on the ground and you've been here for quite a while, but you have a name that's already existing somewhere else. So actually the way we are organized is like we are affiliated. It's almost like a Coca-Cola. You can have the brand, but you're just localized. So actually it's been very, very challenging, because I could not differentiate myself from any other NGO until I start talking about the governance structures, the systems. So it's been a journey. It's still a journey that we're trying to continue to do, of course.
And then you, as a fundraiser, a resource mobilizer, what are some of the challenges that you face as Farida?
Yes.
The fundraiser, the resource mobilizer.
So after the internal activism, the thing that changed also was who was the experts. So I used to be working in Tanzania as a resource mobilizer in Tanzania. So now I pushed and become a global resource mobilizer. The challenge is the space is new for me. I'm African, I'm Black, I'm a woman, I'm so many identities. So when I go into this space, I'm quite new. I'm not very familiar with the nuances of it. I'm not familiar with the politics of it. So it's a deep planning process. It's a deep planning process. It used to be said that it depends on networks and connections. So I didn't start with a connection and network from Tanzania. So I have to start building them. I come to these spaces to broaden my networks, to meet other people, so that I can also become proficient in my role. So it's not been an easy journey, because some people still perceive this as, it needs to be led from Europe. So they become surprised. You have a UK entity, why are you the one doing the fundraising?
And also that usually experts are generally assumed to be global individuals and not necessarily a local Tanzanian who can also, raise resources. So I mean, I'm glad you said, you are building your networks, because in fundraising we normally say fundraising starts with friend raising, and so let's end with a conversation around now. You are attending this conference, more than 300 people, I think, as we speak at the moment. Combination of donors, activists, NGOs, researchers, etc. How are you making friends?
So I love this space, because I was quite early in Accra for the Baraza. What I like about this space is that when you know one person, they'll start introducing you to so many others. And when this person is known, people have credibility for the person they're introducing. So I was very fortunate to be part of the, with me in this, to create the session that we're creating, because that then has opened up my network. I met Demi, we've just interviewed. So it's quite a networking that is facilitated by people that are already open to receive others and introduce them to the people that they know. So like this interview or conversation.
But I actually don't think this is the first time Restless Development attends the Africa Philanthropic Conference. I think last year there was a representation. If I remember going
from
through
Zimbabwe.
some abstracts and I saw the name Restless Development, and it sat with me, because I wanted to understand, what do they mean by the concept restless development? Let's end with you unpacking that.
So we believe that as long as, like if young people are not recognized in leading this development, if young people are not given the right space to lead, then we cannot stop. So we become restless until that development is also recognizing the effort and the inclusion of young people as leaders in this space. So as long as that doesn't happen, we are restless to do development in those terms.
Yeah. Farida, thank you so much for making the time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I'm wishing that your session in the next couple of days is also successful, but it also becomes the starting point for more collaborations with the different networks that are attending.
Yes,
thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
That was Farida from Restless Development. She's the Resource Mobilization Manager. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
You've been listening to the CAPSI podcast series, Conversations on African Philanthropy.